Welcome to the world of stand-up. Scott Orison, or I guess you don't like that name. You like your actual government name now is Red Suit Realtor. Is that the case?
Red Suit Realtor.
So we just call you Red Sooty, and it's everybody knows?
Yeah, you can call me whatever you want. Just call me when it's time to sell your house, right?
Oh, dude.
You like that?
Right out the gate, man. Love it.
I've had people call me like the Red Slut Realtor. They'll see the sign there.
And they clearly can't read, which is cool for them, you know? Red Slut, huh?
Whatever, dude.
Of all the colors to associate with slut, I think red's the most, like, erotic.
Risque.
It's risque.
I like it.
Well, thanks for coming on the show, man.
I'm excited.
Yeah, dude. We got to give a shout out our mutual friend Keith Yackey. Keith, bro, he's coming at you. Look at the thigh meat on this, my man.
I don't know. I mean, I know he has some short shorts, but
We're gonna throw the gauntlet here.
What's up, Keith?
We're gonna see Keith soon, and have this conversation about thighs. I guess that sounds really awkward to say that out loud.
You know who wears short shorts?
Clearly, you do.
Yeah.
I find myself every now and then. In the wintertime, you got the stones to pull it off. I don't. I wouldn't. I can't do shorts in the wintertime.
See, I'm kind of a shorts guy in general. So going to the red suit like across the board almost every day has been tough. But we just got to mix it up.
So you legit wear that every day?
Pretty much every day.
Okay.
Yeah. One of my coach's mentors just said, hey, be your brand. And so I'm like, okay, cool. I asked the wife, I'm like, it was actually my daughter that came up with the name.
Okay.
I saw a red suit. And I said, that'd be fun to wear to a Utah football game and kind of troll like the Oregon fans and just sit in the center and stuff. I've done it at BYU.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, my daughter, she was, I think, 8 at the time. She looks up at me. I just got my real estate license because I flip homes. That's my jam, 15 years.
Yeah.
Got my license a few years ago. She looks up. She's like, Dad, you're the Red Suit Realtor. I was like, honey? I looked at her because it's a full-time commitment. And she gave me, she's like, that's actually brilliant. Now, if it was my idea, she'd be like, no, you can't do it.
Do you have like a red car? Is it all red everything? Or just
you know what? That's where I'm kind of a fraud, I guess. My car is not red.
Well, you're not the red car realtor, so there's no fraud there.
Yeah.
You're the red suit guy.
I've been looking at some trucks that are like bright red. Okay. So we're working on it.
Dude, well, first of all, congrats on the commitment to that. That's a big deal. Like, truly, like, I'm not joking at all. Like, that's a big deal to live your brand like that. Because let's be real, there's probably some days you're like, man, I'd love a black hoodie.
Yeah. Well, and it's like the thing is now when I go out in town, if I'm not wearing my red suit, I always have to have some sort of red, like red suit hats, branding shirts, the color red. But when I don't wear it, they're like, dude, where's your, you know what I mean? And now I know it's like, hey, the branding's working. But yeah, my coach just said, be your brand. I think it was Waylon that said his biggest fear is he did that on one of the shootings and he wasn't wearing some lions, not sheep stuff. And it got millions and millions and millions of views. And he's like, man, I wish I would have been wearing that. And so I was like, cool. Red Suit Realtor, here we go. I can wear this to weddings. It doesn't matter. I wear a red suit. I've got like 10 of them, and they're all different for different occasions. Things like that.
I'm really in this moment. I'm feeling a little bit of regret because I have one of the dopest blue suits. Like, we're talking full vest, like it's tailored. It's a custom suit that's to my body. I look like a boss in this thing. I should have worn it just to juxtapose the red versus the blue, and I didn't.
You should have.
I should have.
I looked up the Blue Suit Realtor on Instagram.
Is that a guy?
He's out there. So we were going to do like red versus blue. So I trolled him a little bit. Yeah. Still hasn't responded to me.
That's because he's blue.
He's weak, man. Soft.
He's that BYU blue. You know what I mean?
He's actually an Oregon fan. And so I was at a Utah-Oregon Pac-12 championship game last year in my red suit, and I flashed it right in front of Oregon. I sent him a photo, and he just hasn't responded to it yet. He's soft, man. But that would be fun to have a little, next time.
No, dude, for sure. I mean, I don't have the shorts. I'm just, my pants go all the way to the ankle, and so you're going to have that leg up literally on me, but we'll be okay.
I'll wear pants next time.
Well, you don't have to, dude. No, don't you dare! Don't you go freaking soft and simping on me for the fucking shorts.
I mean, these are just pure white. Like, no, it's like, dude, get your sunglasses on, dude.
I just realized this too. You and I are both wearing rainy specials, man.
There we go. You know it.
Oh yeah, dude.
Those Are they not the best?
Dude, Rainy's great, dude. He he came through with these, man. I wanted a pair of Vans that were Louis Vuitton, and he's like, I got you, bro.
So this was Flint. You know Ryan Flint?
Of course.
Ryan
He's
Flint
been on my show.
Is awesome. And basically he does my commercial stuff for me.
Okay.
And he said, I got something for you. We did the $100 dinner thing. We had about 100 people. And he's like, I got you a gift. And literally this was probably one of the best gifts I've ever received. And then through that, I got to know Ray. It's crazy how
everybody knows each other.
Everyone knows each other.
Yeah.
You just don't screw anyone over, and everyone knows each other. And it's just crazy how small of a world it really is, you know?
Especially here in Utah, they call it Small Lake City for a reason, man.
Yeah.
Everybody knows everybody.
Well,
yeah. So tell me about before we started recording, you've started creating these these community gatherings where you have meetups and whatnot, and they have somewhat of if I understand correctly, they have a real estate sort of spin, but there's a lot more benefit than just learning about real estate with your meetups. What are you doing with that? Tell me.
Yeah. So real estate's just the excuse for us to gather. I mean, everyone's impacted by real estate some way, some form, some fashion. Maybe they've renovated a home, maybe they flipped a home, maybe they have rental properties, maybe that's how they get tax savings, all sorts of stuff. Me and my wife, we got married in a home in California about 10 years ago, and we moved to Utah. I don't know why, but we're here. We love it here. But anyway, a squatter moved into the property, didn't pay rent. I actually ended up losing the home that me and my wife got married to in that house.
Wow.
That sucked. It's a great way to start off a marriage. Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, I had equity in it, but California has crazy squatter laws where people can literally live in your property. Later, somebody said, you were supposed to hire a squatter to squat on top of the squatter. That would have got him out. I'm like, dang it. Why didn't I think of that?
The idea that is something that is defensively thought of as a strategy, that means those laws suck, dude. That's so bad.
They're the worst. I just won't invest in California. I've thought about buying in Huntington and stuff, but I'm like, I don't want to have a beach rental. And all of a sudden a squatter's in there and I can't get them out. And so ultimately I lost it. And 10 years ago, I was making my mortgage payments here from a credit card. I was literally borrowing money from a credit card to make those. And that sucked because had I had better advice back then, that wouldn't have happened to me. Right. And so I think these experiences have led me to start different groups of, gosh, I bet other people are going through that. And then I've dealt with contractors that have screwed me over, and I've been flipping homes forever. And I still get people that take advantage of me. And I'm like, if that's happening to me and I've got experience, what's happening to the old single mom or the dear sweet grandma that's getting taken advantage of by these contractors? And so we started putting together these meetups. And literally we're inviting contractors, wholesalers that find deals, we'll find hard money lenders, anything real estate is there. So you could literally come to our meetup and meet electrician, a tile guy, and you could walk out of that meeting not only having a real estate deal, but flip a home. And people literally will come to our rooms, and 2 months later, they've completed a renovation. I'll sell their property for them, and they'll make 30, 40, 50 grand on a flip. It's crazy. But it's all about a community of experts, and that's kind of what we're creating. And now people from out of state are like, man, I wish I could come to your meetup, but I can't come to Utah. So we're actually building kind of an online platform. It's like Craigslist, Angie's List, and the Red Suit Realtor had a baby where literally somebody could go on there and say, hey, I need an electrician, I need a contractor. And they literally just click on it and they have a whole bunch of experts that they can choose from. And I'm just kind of playing referee, making sure that people are sound and not taking advantage of other people. So that's kind of the whole idea behind it. But it's crazy what you learn behind the scenes of people. They just need somebody that can fight for them. Right. And that's kind of what we've seen with the meetups that we've done.
That's cool. How long have you been doing them?
So we started about a year ago. Last December, I was like, hey, Sweeto Burrito, they had this back room. It was a room, that could hold about 100 people in it. And I talked to the manager and I said, hey, what if we brought business to you? Can we use this room? And he's like, yeah. So every Thursday, at this place called Sweeto Burrito in Woods Cross at 12 o'clock. We just all meet, and literally we've gotten deals out of it. It's just, you could be a business owner and say, hey, you do podcasts. Hey, there's a lot of people that need help with marketing that could use your services. Why don't you come see what we're doing? And all of a sudden you could walk away with 5 leads. And so I've realized that it's not about me, about trying to sell real estate or flip homes. If I can focus on the end user and the customer, hey, how can I benefit you? And that's why our room is just growing. And it's just been a great way to connect with a lot of people that are crushing it in that space.
Does it cost anything to be a part of your group?
No, I don't want to try. I mean, hey, it's $10 to show up. Like, I don't want to be a bill collector. Like, just show up, right? And realistically, we're passing deals. It's almost like the MLS for realtors. We're creating our own for investors, where we're feeding each other's families instead of the rest of the world's families. And so it's like, if you're a painter, show up to the meetup, here's all these referrals. So I'm just giving referrals to all these businesses like crazy, and they love it. And then they're bringing their people, and we're going like crazy.
Do you have an actual like directory of these people that could be used or distributed, where we can know they're Red Suit approved or whatever? Like, this guy's my guy. And
so that's what we're working on. Okay. We're literally going to have a website that literally people can go on there, and they'll have preferred experts, all these referrals. And then it's like, hey, there's 7 different experts. You choose what works best for you, because maybe you need to paint your commercial building. That's different than a residential building, right? But you're a big boy. Interview, but we'll teach you how to interview the right people. Because I've realized every time I've done real estate deals where I hired a contractor, you give up the control. You give them the money, the control. If their subs don't show up or they don't pay their subs, then you're screwed. Whereas if you're the one that's kind of the sub on top of it and you're managing the subs, you have all the control. The sub doesn't do a good job, you don't pay him. But if you paid that contractor money, that's happened to me where I've had liens. I've given contractors, I gave a contractor over $167,000, and he didn't pay a lot of the subs. And literally, I'm not even joking, last year at Christmas time, I had a guy show up at my front door. My little kid answered the door. You've been served, because I gave him all this money and he didn't pay the subcontractors. And so then
the subs sued you?
The subs can put a lien on my house, not on the contractor.
Wow.
It's kind of backwards how it's set up.
Yeah, that's lame.
So I'm basically double dipping. So this one project that was supposed to cost me $200 to renovate in Holiday has cost me close to $500,000 by hiring the wrong person. And it's crazy. And so for me, I have a mission. It's not just about doing real estate, but it's making sure that same thing doesn't happen to somebody else. And that's kind of the motivation behind this meetup. And there's a lot of great, amazing people out there. And so it's a sorting business to find those people. And hey, you take care of the people, I'll give you so much stinking business. And that's kind of the name of the game. And that's how it's grown so fast. So we are doing kind of an online platform to teach people how to hire the right people, and there'll be a community of experts.
I love that, man. I've got your book here, Suited for, where was looking at me? Where are we looking at? All of them. Suited for Real Estate Success, How to Invest, Negotiate, and Win Every Deal. Scott Orison. How long have you had this book?
Appreciate the plug, man. I wrote it a year ago.
Okay.
So,
Scott Orison, a husband, father, coach, investor, Amazon best-selling author, philanthropist, sports fanatic, and Utah's original Red Suit Realtor. Look at you, bro. Killing it.
Trying to.
Yeah. So since we're talking about your book, what do people get when they read this?
The biggest thing, realistically, doesn't matter if you're flipping houses or flipping cars or flipping over cows. It's all about time management, and it's all about finding experts and surrounding yourself with experts and trusting people. And that's a hard thing to say from somebody that's gotten taken advantage of on a few big deals, to trust people. I think I saw somebody on Instagram that said, if you don't trust people, like even if, I guess he lost millions of dollars, but you have to learn to trust people. So Keith taught me this about 10 years ago, trust but verify.
Yeah.
Trust but verify. You just have to do better. And so every situation, you have to learn how to, you're an expert at one or two facets, but you have to surround yourself with people that crush it in their space. Like, I'll give you an example. This is the biggest mistake, and I talk about this in my book. Most people never figure out what an hour of time is worth to them. It's the rest of the world tells them, hey, you're worth $20 an hour, right? So I figured out, hey, an hour of my time is worth $500 an hour. So if I'm trying to figure out how to become a plumber to save $50 an hour, where I could hire an expert for $50 an hour, that's a net of $450 of my time. So that's the biggest obstacle. And I talk a ton about time management systems in the book, of surrounding yourself with experts, people that you trust. I'm really good at finding deals and opportunities. That's where I make my money, not by becoming a contractor, if that makes sense.
Sure.
So I surround myself with the right people. So realistically, my book is a time management system of how to surround yourself with the right ingredients. You're the baker. Your job is to take the right ingredients and put them together. And in a nutshell, that's kind of the book in a general. My book writing coach said, write it for a 6th grade reading level. I said, that's perfect.
So I'll be fine reading this thing.
It's my vocabulary, dude. We're on the same page here. But that's the book in a nutshell, man.
I can appreciate that a lot. That's one of the things I feel holds people back from their next level, whatever that level is for their life, is their willingness to outsource a part of the things that they're not good at and allow somebody else who's better in exchange for money be able to take that over for them. I was just telling Conan, our friend and my producer here, this week has been kind of a crazy week for me. My podcast business has grown a ton in the last several years. I've really started to reach this fever pitch where there's a lot of money going in and out with everything that we're doing. And just yesterday was the first time I've hired a bookkeeper now, like an accountant, to actually help me quarterly so that I'm not getting hosed and just exposing myself to a bunch of nonsense when it comes to tax reporting and how to handle expenses and the whole thing. And it was a scary experience, but it was at the same time I felt this relief because I'm like, I look at the price points of what I charge. I look at the value that we create. I look at the imprint of what I do in my media automated company. And I'm like, dude, there's so many more people out there that I could help that are perfectly designed for me as somebody that needs my value, as well as that I would be tremendously valuable to them and I could really elevate their business. But I hadn't been ready in a business standpoint to take on more because there was all this like emotional kind of baggage with like the fear of like, wow, man, I don't want to have to pay all this. I don't want to do all this. I got to be better about my bookkeeping, and that's gone. I had the same thing happen when I hired, this is a while ago, but when I hired my first engineer. As a part of my podcast company, we produced episodes. And so I was the one doing all the mixing before and doing everything and writing the copy and everything. And I would get to a point where I'm like, I am exhausted. Like I'm doing 20 episodes a week by myself while I'm trying to bring on new business and have this and just build this. And I'm like, psychologically, subconsciously, I didn't want it to grow because that meant I had more work. I didn't want more work. And when I hired my first guy, and I started to be able to work on my business as opposed to in my business, it was a game changer.
Boom.
And so what you're doing is it's kind of cool because I see it kind of on the outside. It's like, come get access to experts. But the underlying value for me is the encouragement to use an expert to the thing that you're not good at. And people can pay with time or they can pay with money.
Yep.
And choose your poison because basically you're going to wait and you're going to fuck it up a bunch if you pay with your time. Or you can just shorten that, pay some money, have an expert come help you. Next thing you know,
bingo. It's peace of mind is really what you're paying for.
Yeah.
I get these flippers that come to our meetup and they're handyman. The problem that they have, though, is they're like, well, I can do that myself for way cheaper than hiring somebody. Well, 3 months into the project, they're like, this sucks. It's just another job. Yeah, I made 20 grand. Yeah, but you could have just gone out and worked for somebody else. Why not hire somebody to do it in a month and save all that interest that you normally would be paying and go find 3 or 4 or 5 deals to do it at the exact same time? And that's the biggest problem that we have. We're creatures of habit. And to have a coach and a mentor saying, knock it off. The same thing with Conan. Conan's my videographer as well, and he's really, really good at it. So I let him do what he's really good at. Let me go find the deals. Let me be the connector. Let me put together the deals. Let me list the properties. But Conan can go do the videography instead of me trying to figure all this other stuff out. I just want to know enough about it to understand how to hire the right people.
Right.
You don't want to be too naive with it where you don't know anything about taxes and then somebody comes in here. But the whole concept across the board is we have tax experts that literally dive through the tax code. It's close to like 80, 90,000 pages long. I'm not going to search through all those pages to figure that out. I'm going to hire a really good guy that works with a lot of other real estate experts, and they're bringing me deals and tax incentives and trade-offs with all these things I didn't even know existed. But that's what they do every second of the day.
Yeah.
Hey, tell me what the best deductions are. I'm in, right? And so that's the name of the game. And it's hard, though, because you have to let go of the control a little bit when you've done things a certain way for a certain amount of time, you have to trust people.
Yeah.
But there's a way to do it.
I think as well, because I heard you say that, a handyman that's a flipper will say, I can do it for cheaper. I've seen actually less of that. I do see that, of course, a lot, especially in trades like that where it is a hands-on sort of thing. But I've seen it a lot more in the digital landscape when it comes to, there's almost an arrogance about, well, nobody can do it better than me. Mm-hmm. So I need to be the one to do it. I had that sort of hubris when I started, doing podcast stuff. Because I really started understanding sound and how to manipulate sound, how to take something that wasn't recorded that good and make it sound good, or something that was recorded great and make it sound phenomenal, and all the little ins and outs and the little intricacies of when you do different stuff. And I was like, oh, I'm the best. Nobody can touch me. And then when I hired it out and I, hired my first guy and teaching him, it's funny because he now has that hubris. Yep. It's hilarious. He's like, dude, I'm better than you. And I'm like, no, you're not. And then he'll have a problem, and he'll bring it to me with his tail between his legs, and I'll be like, and it's done. He's like,
but that's what you want, though. You want somebody that has that mindset. But
well, as an employee, yes, but you can't like that mindset as an entrepreneur will kill you.
Yes,
because if you're like, dude, nobody can do it better than me. So I'm going to involve myself in this like literal exchange of time, just for the hubris of being the guy that did it. Like at this point, I used to kind of banter more back and forth with that sort of idea in my head. And it's like now I'm more like, oh, I don't care.
Yep.
No, you're better. Yeah, you do it. Fine. You're better than me. I'll pay you to do it. Awesome. And sometimes I'm still better, but I don't want to do it.
Yeah. It's taxing. Yeah. It's like
bandwidth is real. Like how much you focus on, especially if a guy like you. So you're a community leader. You're creating a tribe. You are obviously an entrepreneur and in real estate, and there's several different hats that you wear in that. I mean, like, dude, I don't even know, but I'm willing to bet that you have several different trains of thought that you have to handle in sync. And if you're worried about a bunch of little nitpicky shit, it's going to drown you. You're going to sabotage yourself because you won't like it. And next thing you know, you're losing deals and things are going bad. And it's not that you actually wanted to lose the deal or wanted the things to go bad. It's just that we subconsciously sabotage ourselves because we don't like the work.
Yep. Well, and if you think about it, it's all about, we talk about family. Hey, I'm doing this for my family. It's like, are you? Are you doing it for the family? Yeah. And so one of the things that I like about being an entrepreneur is that you can dream big, but there's so many different things going on that you have to ultimately decide. You have to cut a lot of that stuff out of there that you normally would do, and you just hire that out. You find the right people. You build a tribe of experts with you. But it's like with my kids, a lot of stuff with real estate. Man, how do you spend all this time with your kids? I'm doing real estate with my kids. I'm able to teach them how to market and brand themselves and how to be uncomfortable. But when I'm out looking at properties, I'm with my kids. Hey, come along with me. Hey, I'm doing an open house. I'll have my son out on a street corner in a red suit. Hey, here's $30 an hour. Go get uncomfortable. He's stoked out of his mind. $30 or $20 or whatever. I'll negotiate with him. I talk about that in the book, right? My daughter, she's the best. She's like, I want $100. I want paid vacation. I want all this stuff. I'm like, hey, I'll take my son here, right? But my point being is how do you take everything in the world? I was my youngest. He might have ADD. I think he does. And while I was there, the psychiatrist or doctor, whoever it was, he looks up at me. He's like, hey, I don't know if you know this, but you have ADHD too. And I'm like, cool. I guess I have it. But you see that with a lot of entrepreneurs. There's so many different moving parts to be able to just make a quick text with people that you trust. Hey, I've got this issue here. Can you help me out here? And boom, then you can do 50 things at once instead of trying to figure out something that you suck at and you're going to mess it up anyway. That's like the name of the game, right? Figure out what you're really good at and spend 90% of your time doing that. And the rest of the time, you're just managing the managers.
I love that you bring that up. That's one of the big misnomers that I've come across in my career is the idea that you're supposed to get good at the things that you are weak at. It's like, well, no. You just pay someone else to handle that part. And then the things you're good at, get great at. And then when you get great at something, get fucking phenomenal at it. Become so narrow and deep in your expertise that you're undeniable. And that's where you make all the money. That's when you can charge the most. That's when you have the most impact. That's when you're really living your truth, your truth, literally your truth, because you are the truth at that point. You are the one that is the only option, the only answer. So
yeah, I mean, simplify, right? Do what you're good at.
Yeah,
that's going to be the most inspirational. You see it all the time when people try to act like when people ask me a specific real estate, like with contracts and stuff. I'm terrible at them, and I'm a realtor, and I'm like, yeah, but I'm really good at negotiating and marketing and selling houses. But I've got my transaction coordinator that's done this for 20 years. I'll send her a text. She'll make sure it looks really, really good. And that's a huge like you get these realtors that they're trying to be these marketers and investors, and they're trying to save $300, $400, $500 where they could just pay somebody $500 a transaction that might take you 20 hours of your time. That's like $1 an hour.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's that efficiency side of putting everything together, and then just surrounding yourself with the tribe and supporting their businesses, supporting their brothers. Like, I mean, I've kind of realized I've got my blood family, but like my real family are people like, let's go in this together. Let's go win this together. At my meetups, you don't see any of my family that's there. I'm the guy that was, throwing eggs when I was in high school you know what I'm saying? Like, it's hard for family to see as you start to grow. You got the crab in the bucket mindset.
Yeah.
I want to find, I relate it kind of like a train. I've got my coaches, my mentors. I do a lot of stuff with like Keaton, The Muscle, Limitless Society. I'm part of that group. Sean Whalen. I've got these coaches, people that I aspire to be. They coach me. They hold me accountable. And then I'm here in the middle. And then I've got people too that maybe they're not there, but they want to be inspired. And so as long as you have the hitch out there, willing to pull people along, but also follow these people like yourself that are absolutely crushing it and building those relationships, the train ain't stopping, right? And there's a lot of people too that are like, no, I'm just getting it for myself, but they don't have people that they want to help and support. They'll never win. They'll just ultimately be dead weight. And so building that community of a train, I've realized that as you've had people that have helped you out, it's our duty to help other people that want what we want, but it's all about finding that mindset. I don't care what they have. What's their mindset? If they have the right mindset, I can help them. If they have a terrible mindset, you can't help those people out. And so a lot of it's sorting and recognizing, we'll get 50 to 100 people that come to our weekly meetups every single week. Some won't come back. Good. That means that there's more seats available for the person that has that right mindset. So it might take us 1,000 people that come into our meetups to find 100 leaders. I'd much rather work with 100 leaders.
That's a decent ratio. If it's 1 out of 10, you're killing it as far as finding leadership.
Yeah, I'd rather have us. So my whole vision is to help 1,000 people in the next couple of years do a real estate transaction. So I got to create and cultivate these leaders that they can do that same thing, because that's impactful. My brother was my best friend in the world, passed away about 7 years ago, couldn't walk for 30 years. And he could barely talk. He could barely eat. He struggled. He had the biggest smile. Everyone loved that guy to death. And people ask, hey, what's your why? And what's your biggest fear? My biggest fear is not taking advantage of what I have to impact other people's lives and let my brother down that's up there cheering me, rooting me on. He had all these things. He made a massive impact on people's lives, and he didn't have much. Man, I got a lot. I can walk, I can talk. And it's my duty to go out there and inspire others, because I want to kill the disease that killed my brother. That's my why, man.
That's really touching, man. I see. Yeah, in your book you have an ode to him that was, I didn't know anything about that. You were that close to him and what he was dealing with. So that's a good why. So that leads me, Scott, to you have this facade. You're the Red Suit guy. You got your son involved in the Red Suit stuff. Everything's Red Suit. Your book's Red Suit. Book's red. Everything. Who's the guy behind that? Like, what is it that you enjoy about life? What riles you up? What makes you laugh? What's your passions? Like, what do you do when you're not in the red suit for the 5 minutes a day that you aren't wearing that thing?
Man, it's hard. I genuinely, it was crazy. As a kid, I was like a bigger kid, played Little League football, was bigger. I was kind of like, yeah, this is crushing it. And then I went to high school, and my family moved from Utah to Texas. Drew Brees was the quarterback when he was 3-4 years older. And man, that
Really?
was some good.
You went
That
to
was
the same
some good
high school as
football.
Drew
Same
Brees?
high school as Drew Brees in
cool.
Austin Westlake High School.
Okay.
But the kids were much bigger, much faster, and they kicked my butt. They were way bigger than I was. So I went from this alpha dog little kid to this like kid that was like my life flipped upside down overnight. I think I hit puberty when I was like 20. I was just that kid, right? And so I got picked on a lot. So then we were in Texas, and then I moved back to Utah. All my existing friends, they moved on, went with other people, and I was trying so hard to be liked. Man, like this isn't how it was when I left. And I mean, I was that kid that was getting into trouble, that was fighting. I had 20, 30, 40 kids after school chasing me after to beat the crap out of me because I'd say stupid things, right? And so I basically went from being this alpha to trying so hard to please everyone else that I was miserable, man. Back in the day, suicidal was taboo to talk about. I was suicidal. I mean, it's hard when you got people spreading. I mean, high school's hard as is.
Yeah.
And so thank goodness there wasn't social media back then. And then I grew after I grew high school. And that's funny how people that will pick on you when you're little, all of a sudden you become big, you know? And I've been playing rugby for 20 years. That's my passion. That's my blood. But I would what you call a bully's bully, because there were some kids that were mean to my brother, and there were some kids that were really, really nice to my brother. And so my mission out there, you got guys that are just absolute jerks. Jack, I'll stand up to those guys. They don't like me, and so my whole vision, what I love is to really inspire the uninspired. There's a lot of people that took care of my brother and they didn't have to. And I want to stand up for those. That's what makes me feel good, man, realistically. I love the sports. I love to hunt. Yeah. I guess I do now. But I love just to be out there in the community, and that's in my blood. You got to love what you're doing. Otherwise, it's just a job.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you're crushing it in this space because I think you have a passion for helping other people.
I do.
And so behind the Red Suit Realtor is a guy that really wants to help other people genuinely win. When I see people flipping these homes and crushing it, obviously it doesn't affect my pocketbook if it was my own flip, but I've just seen some of these guys come out here and had no reason that they could flip a home and they do it and they crush it, and it changes their lives because it's not the $40,000 or $50,000 that they make on the deal. It's up here that they did it. Because after you've done one deal, it's easy to do 2, 3, 4, 5 deals because you broke the ice. And so for me, it's just a vision of really supporting and man, I'd be toast if I was on a desert island all by myself, just because my blood is to be around people and connect. And you know, as much as I flip homes, I feel like I'm more of a connector than anything. And I feel like business is all the same. It's just you have different vehicles as far as what you're doing with marketing, branding. Doesn't matter what it is. You have those fundamental principles with business. And if you get really, really good at those, marketing, sales, branding, but consistency, that's where most people fail. They do it as a 1-week commitment. Yeah. No, dude, this is a minimum 5-year commitment, minimum to succeed. Ed Milet said it best. Long-term thinking helps with short-term decision-making. Most of the decisions I make, hey, what's going to help me today compared to what's going to help me 20 years down the road, even if you have to make those sacrifices.
Yeah, that's good. Ed's got a lot of those nuggets. He has a phrase called blissfully dissatisfied that I've always attached to because it's the idea of being so grateful for what you have, but knowing that there's more. So I'm thankful for everything, but I'm going for it. And when I get there, I'll be thankful for that too. And I'll be thankful for the journey. And I love that story, man. Like, sounds like you triumphed over some challenging stuff.
Yeah.
You've been married for 10 years.
Well, coming on 15 years.
15, sorry. Where did that get the 10 number? There's something with California.
I think 10 years. So we ended up, I bought the house in 2008.
Okay.
Took 3 or 4 years to even foreclose on. So it foreclosed, I think, in 2012 is when the house actually foreclosed on. But I bought it about 15 years ago. Me and my wife got married in that property.
Okay.
But it was weird when I was writing the book. It was funny because I had maybe a couple. I just wasn't an Instagram guy. My coaches are like, "Dude, you're an idiot." There's so much like marketing that's free. You have to like start understanding the social media game.
Yeah.
So I hired an expert that helped me clean up my page. And it's so funny with social media, like the social standard. Like, you know, when I started out and I had 200-300 followers, I write this best-selling book. I'm like, wait, this guy writes this best-selling book and he's got like 200 people on Instagram. Something doesn't add up here. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But it's funny because, you know, I'll tell people like what I've learned the past years. I hired this person, spent $250. They helped me clean it up. They showed me how to do it. To get to those different levels, you know, just double your efforts. So, okay, I'm going to weed out all the people that really don't provide much value to me. I'm just going to unfollow them. I'm going to start from scratch. And by doing that, you get more solid, consistent followers. Okay, I'm at 250. How do I get to 500 followers? Okay, I'm at 500. How do I get to 1,000 followers? Okay, now how do I get to 2,000? Now that you get into the thousands, you'll get random people that wouldn't follow you if you only had 200, 300 followers. But now that they see that the world says it's okay to follow this person, that you're scooping up all of these different people. So if you're trying to build your business, the first thing you need to do is get your social media, because that's the first thing that everyone looks at.
Yeah, it's your business
who is
card
this
nowadays,
person? Yeah, I mean, my book and my social media is my business card. Where's your business card? It's Instagram. Go on there, send me a message, because that's how I communicate. Then you have the whole channels. And so I've learned a lot about that. I don't need to be an expert at it, but I understand how it works. And then you can hire those experts to help you behind the scenes with it. But it's just crazy, the process, as far as like always be learning. I got a 4-year degree, and I feel like in business, you can learn more in 2 weeks than you can in a 4-year. Mine was like a 6-year college hiatus, but you understand the game.
Extended degree there.
Yeah, those are like doctors and attorneys, right? Those were kids that went to 4 different colleges.
Yeah.
You know,
They were drunk Thursday nights. That's what those kids were.
Yeah. I don't know what you're talking about, man.
Where'd you go to school?
So I started out at the U,
Okay.
University of Utah, and then I actually went to UVU. I couldn't pass the test, math, and I'm pretty good at math. I couldn't pass it. So you had to keep retaking it. So I went to it was UVU, which is Utah Valley State College, whatever it is now. And my GPA shot through the roof. And then I actually finished up at Utah State.
Okay.
So I went to 3 different colleges, and then I stopped back up at the U.
So your like college affiliation fandom looks like a pride flag, basically. It's got all the colors in it.
You know it. You know it, man. You know it. I mean, I turned down Dixie State.
Well, I mean, that's an easy one to turn down.
They were just a little too, Dixie State was just too political for me at the day, right? Utah Tech. If it was Utah Tech, I'm in. But Dixie State.
I've heard about the gnarly political scene at Dixie, I mean, just all those white kids down there.
Did you hear someone just fell off the roof there?
No, I didn't.
Somebody just fell off the roof like 2 days ago and just.
Hopefully they landed on their degree, because that's about as much use as he's going to get out of it.
Too much caffeine.
Hope he's okay, whoever fell, but yeah. He just got a lot of. Anyway.
Are you from here? Are you from Utah? What's your story?
No,
man?
I'm a transplant, man. Like I moved. Well, I guess I could be considered a Utard now, but
yeah.
I moved here in '97, fresh off a mission. In a former life, I was a Mormon.
Cool.
And I was in Brazil for that. Came home, got married 5 weeks after I got home.
My man, was slow. That was slow for the average man.
Oh my god, dude, dumbest thing ever. These Mormon kids that I see nowadays that are just like scared to get their freaking dick wet without getting married, and then they do the dumbest thing ever by jumping into a relationship that's don't. Okay. Anyway, so I did that, and that was that brought me 2 lovely daughters and 7.5 years of marriage. I'll put it that way.
Fun. Yeah.
And it was after that I met my wife, and we got married shortly after that, and we had actually worked together before my divorce, and I've been with her now for 17.5 years. But I came to Utah in '97, and I haven't left.
Love it.
But I've been feeling a real pull out of the state, if I got to be honest. There's a success principle that I truly understand and believe, and that's that your environment dictates your success. And I've been feeling that I've been doing my best to involve myself in more, communities and tribes and things and trying to, create more stuff. But I've been feeling kind of stagnant. Like I need to get out of the state, move to Scottsdale or Southern California or something just to get into a different mindset of that. But
it's probably good for your kids too. How old are your kids?
So I have a 13-year-old daughter. So between my wife and I, we have a 21-year-old son, and that's Amy's previous marriage. He's like my son. I've been around since he was 3. And then I have a 20 and an 18-year-old daughter, and they live in Oregon with their mother. And then Amy and I have my 13-year-old daughter together.
Dude, we have the same story, dude.
Really?
Seriously. I'm on marriage too.
Okay.
It was kind of the quick thing.
Yeah.
I literally.
My man.
But yeah, let's go. Let's get it.
I'm not even
right?
giving freaking pounds for that, dude.
But it does happen, right? That's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
No. Don't do what you're supposed. That's what the world. Do what you want to do, right?
I wanted to get laid. Is what I wanted to do. And
seriously.
So I got married instead.
Yeah, and then it stops happening. Then it stops happening.
Oh yeah, no shit, right?
But my oldest is like 27.
Okay.
And from my second marriage, but
Did you have him when you were 8?
Well,
like how old are you, dude?
I mean, what can I say? I told you I was the man in high school. Didn't you listen to that part of the story here? No, here's the thing. Like, so my oldest is technically my stepson, but he never really knew his dad. So he's my son. I'm a grandpa.
Okay.
The red suit grandpa. But he's got a granddaughter that's 2, and then I've got 3 other kids with my current wife right now. And they're 8, 10, and 12.
Okay.
And then 26. But it's crazy as far as like the journey, like how stuff happens.
Yeah.
That was supposed to you were supposed to get married, dude, after 5 weeks of craziness, but it's
well, you bring up an interesting thing about the 2 sides of the coin. There's regret, and man, if I wouldn't have done that, it could have been so much different. And then the true butterfly effect of like, well, if that didn't happen to you, you wouldn't be where you are now with the skill set and the understanding that you have and the results that you have. And so I look back at that, and even though I would never have done anything, you've given the choice, right? If we had that magical moment, like if you could go back, that's the hardest question to answer because so much nonsense and pain came out of the dissolution of that marriage. And since that marriage it's only been the last couple of years that my ex-wife and I have been able to be civil to each other.
Yeah.
So much so that last January was the first time since our divorce that we were in the same room together.
Wow.
Like it was gnarly. And I look back at that and I look at all the challenges that have existed in trying to have a relationship with my daughters while they've been in other states, and I've tried to chase them around to corral them, and everything was always difficult. I was always on the downside of something. It was never easy, but I did it anyway. And I look at this and I go, man, if I could not have to have dealt with that, where could I be? I don't know. But it's a useless thought in a way because it's like there's no answer to it. It's not like I actually could go back or that you actually could go back and change it. And so it puts us in a position where we're like, okay, so since that's not changeable and I can't control the past, how about we control the future? How about I control my now? How about I make better decisions now that are going to affect where I want to go?
Well, a great point to that. I mean, half the world has been divorced, right? And it's like, oh, this and that. And it's like, look, one of the things when I'm looking to work with certain people, I try to find out like, hey, I was talking to someone the other day, he's going through a divorce and he wants to do real estate. And I said, you know what? I actually really want to work with you. He's like, well, why is that? I said, because you just went through, it sounds like a really tough divorce with kids and all that stuff, but you haven't said really one bad thing about that person. There's those people that are trying to go back in the past and change it, and there's those people that are trying to go ahead and learn from those experiences.
Yeah.
Dude, that's huge because that tells you, like, are you forward thinking? Are you thinking of what Uncle Rico from 20 years ago, I'll throw that football over that mountain, right? I mean, seriously, like you want people that have actually gone through certain things in their life because then you got the people that literally their whole lives, they've been sheltered, they hit the first bump in the road and then they are a disaster, right?
Yeah.
It's like these people that have never had issues growing up through high school. Maybe they never touched booze, drugs, they never had issues, never had exes. They marry their high school sweetheart. And then all of a sudden that first time they're like, man, this is just kind of boring and mundane. And then all of a sudden they hit it and then they just turn into an absolute wreck. I like it when, I went to an event in Charlotte and the motivational speaker said, honor the struggle. These people in China are really good at math because when they have an issue or a problem, they throw the kid that sucks at it the most up in front of the room. And he has to struggle through that whole process instead of the teacher's pet that gets up there and knows the answer just because it's easy. And like honoring the struggle, like we've all had bad issues and bad times, but what are you carrying on your shoulder? All of those trauma, all those other issues, or are you carrying, hey, I got taken advantage of $160,000 by a contractor. I'm going to sit around and cry about it the rest of my life, or I'm going to utilize that to motivate and build this massive group to potentially millions and millions of dollars to help other people go out there and succeed and win and not learn from those mistakes. And that's the hard part because we all have our issues.
Yeah.
Everyone has their issues and problems. And so like, as you're bringing that up, I'm just sitting here thinking the forward thinkers, they're the ones that are they're going to crush it. The ones that are always and it's okay to like have therapy sessions and get it out and talk about it, but you'll talk to some people and they lead with that.
You bring up an interesting thing because it's a reality. This is a truth. We can decide how we see things. So there's the simple facts of, who, what, when, where, how even. Those are very simple sort of like, well, who was there? Why, what was there? Why were the... We can then use that information to decide for ourselves how we choose contextually to describe whatever that is. So when we look at our pasts, we can look at it as a learning experience. We can look at it as that we got screwed. We can look at it like the sky fell and that everything sucked and God hates me because he let that happen. Or we can look back and be like, that set me up for the perfect moment, which is right now for me to go do exactly what I want. And I've done a fair amount of investing in my own mindset and in my own like understanding my conscious and subconscious mind and how they work together and how they create results and this partnership that we have with the universe to create things that we want and how to handle things that we don't want and the resistance that we put out there to things that we think we don't want, but you're actually part of the plan and having there be, faith in the outcome and faith in the process. And when things don't show evidence that it's actually working for us, that's when we have to have the most sort of faith, when we are clear on exactly where we want to go. Because when you want a big life, some things have to be rearranged for that life to be able to be handled. And that includes some clearing out, that includes some demolition, it includes some swing and wrecking balls and things that happen, and you just got to kind of go with it. So I've come to the terms as in every moment, I've even started to get really deliberate with how I use the words easy versus hard.
Yeah.
It's like if you decide something that's hard before you've gone through it, you're basically consigning yourself to a difficult experience. But if you can say that it's, it's going to happen easily, it doesn't mean it won't have, little pricks and different like uncomfortable things, but like it can be way easier. And that was one of the things that I learned, especially in relationship too. I've done a lot of life coaching over the years for different people. And before I got into podcasting, that was what I did, is more business consulting and life coaching. And I would have these people that would show up that had problems in their relationship, and they would tell me what was going on in their relationship, and they were already deciding that certain things were bad.
Yeah.
And the decision to see it that way was their downfall. I'm like, well, how about you reverse that? There's that whole kind of, and when people dive in and learn about the law of attraction, it's a flipping of the script when it comes to what you have versus what you can become. Instead of, it being that, well, if I only had this, I could then do this, and then I would be this, you flip and go, I decide that this is who I am. I'm being this. So if I'm being a good partner, I then know, okay, so what does a good partner then do? If I am a good partner, I'm a good business person, I'm a good comedian, I'm a good realtor, whatever. What are the actions then that are taken by somebody that is that? Here's my list of actions. Tick, 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 tick. You do those things. And then naturally it produces the result of what the having would be by doing that, whether it's money or connection or health or whatever you're devoting that to. And that's been something that I like to talk about a lot, because you are what you are, and you get to decide that. Now, even if there's no evidence that you are that, like if you don't have $1 million and you say to yourself, I am a millionaire, okay, well, if you were to take out the millionaire, the $1 million part of the millionaire, what are the other characteristics that millionaires have? They're good with their money. They have a great relationship with their money. They know how to, like, they involve the right people. They have great opportunity. There's this whole list, and it's like when you do all those other things, and all of a sudden the money part comes, and then everything you decided about yourself being that is real. And that's, I want people to understand that, because we have far more control and power over what our lives are than we even know.
Oh, it's huge.
Huge. We're the captain.
Yep.
Like, it's not even like, even when you get into like religious things, it's like, no, it's not that God is the captain. God's the co-pilot. God's like, hey, if you want to go there, you might want to, like the GPS, like you might want to take this. Oh, you missed that corner. Well, I guess we're going to reroute you. Like, but you're still the one driving. I've always felt some sort of, I'd be curious to get your opinion about this, because I've always felt this little bit of a disconnect. I don't understand. I'll just say it. I don't understand the idea of God's will, because if we are, it seems like a mislabel of what we could become ourselves. So like if we decide something that's benevolent and has, good intentions, and it blesses us and blesses our lives of our family and everything, whether it's money or wealth or health or whatever it is, we decide that that's the thing, and there's no reason why we shouldn't have it. None. And we do the efforts foot in front of the other to go towards that. The idea that God would want to derail you from that, I don't understand that. Unless it's the derail when he realizes that, oh, that's cute. We're going way there. And so it's better than what you wanted. I don't know. What's your take on that?
I think the more that's given to us, the more is expected out of us. You got some people that are talented.
Sure.
And I feel like God's going to give us some harder stuff to go through. He really wants to see kind of what we're made of. And I think it just goes back to that long-term thinking, right? That most of us have a tough time.
What if he already knows what we're made of, though?
But he's got so many of his children out there that you are an instrumental piece. They need to see you going through that stuff, because you are going to inspire so many other people.
Okay, so
it's not just about.
Okay, so what if it is?
We're going deep here. I like this.
What if it is that, but it's not that, and it's not that God needs to see it, but that you do. You need to see yourself go through that. And oftentimes we put ourselves through pain and suffering to earn some sort of reward, not because it's required by God, but because we didn't have the worthiness and the understanding of our own abilities to accept it. And so we have an ante. Yeah. I got to buy into this, and it's through a couple years of shit. And once I pay for that couple years of crap, then I'm okay to have it. When God's up there going like, all right, if you say so, I'll give it to you now if you want it. But it's about our awareness, about our divinity and what we're capable of, as opposed to some spirit in the sky that's trying to direct traffic for us. I think that we're in the playground. And like when you have kids, when you go to the playground with your kid, you're keeping an eye out so they don't do anything stupid. But for most of the part, you're just like, they're going to have fun. Oh, look, they nicked their knee. How that's cool. You need me to kiss it, sweetie? Like, you let them do their thing. Mm-hmm. That's how I think God looks at us here. Is like, we're just all doing our thing, and it's a bunch of ants in the anthill. And he's like, man, you guys are idiots in some of these ways. Hey, they got this little group over there doing good. Okay. And as far as like how we put ourselves in a place of need for tribulation is far more real than him putting us in a need of tribulation. I don't know. It's just
I think you're onto something. I mean, it's kind of like I coach football too. It's kind of my passion.
Love it.
I probably wasn't that great growing up, so I was like, I'm going to be that super senior coach. And I had one of the coaches come up. He was being a dad coach at the time. Other kids were messing up, but not his kid. And I said, hey man, you got to stop being a dad coach. Like, this is during the middle of the game. Like, I'm trying to coach all of these kids, not just your kid.
Yeah.
And he didn't like it when I called him dad coach. He did not like that. But you know what? I'd much rather tell you what you need to hear than what you want to hear. I'd rather hurt you with the truth than kill you with the lie. And at that time, I felt like, dude, knock it off being a dad coach. And he's like, well, you should be coaching all these kids the same. I was like, absolutely not.
Yeah, when is that
They're
ever real?
all different. I'm like, I don't even love my kids the same. I love my kids, but they're different kids. And I feel like God is the same way. We have different talents. We're on here at different times, different locations. He loves us, but he loves us differently in a different way with our different needs. And so as you're bringing that up there, but going back to that, a lot of times when you prepare something, you're thinking, okay, I'm going to prepare to this to the group. A lot of times you're actually preparing something for yourself.
Yeah, 100%.
A challenge for yourself that you need to get through. And I do that all the time. I'm like, yesterday in our meetup, we're like, hey, man, we're all going through these challenges. Man, I got all these flips. I got all these recreational properties. I got to offload these. How do I do these, right? To the group where I'm talking to myself. Hey, put your money where your mouth's at. Offload these properties. There's going to be some amazing deals coming up here shortly, but practice what you preach. And it's like, okay, I'm getting that out to the universe that I can't be giving all this advice if I'm not willing to take it myself. And if I put it out to the universe in a public format, I'm holding myself accountable. Whereas most people will never say anything. It was like when I wrote my book, do I just write about the good stuff? No. You got to write about the bad stuff, about the foreclosures, about how you were a loser and you got married in a house and it got foreclosed on. Because I need to own my stuff, which most people don't, right? And that's the biggest issue I feel like most people is truly owning their issues. It doesn't make you weak. It actually makes you strong. When you say, I messed up on this. This is what I learned from it. This is how I'm going to impact myself and impact others with it. And I feel like God has visions for us, but it's all different. Everyone's on a different vision. If it's you go to church to get it or you're spiritual, I just feel like God can connect to the soul a different way for every person. And God will let you know like what you should be doing and what you shouldn't be doing. If you have to talk yourself into doing something, it's like a deal. It's probably not the right deal.
Yeah.
You just got to go with your gut. And a lot of times God's telling you to do that, but he's also providing us the life jackets where, hey, yours is like the GPS. You still got to swim. Even if you have a life jacket on you, I'm going to help you, but you still got to swim to make it happen.
Have you ever read the book Conversations with God by Neil Donald Walsh? It's a fascinating read. And as somebody that was, truly religious for a long time, it bridged the gap for me in kind of a lot of the misunderstandings that I had about God and religion and faith and that whole thing. And he uses in this book a metaphor when he refers to us, and he talks about that basically every human being here is like a mirrored shard of God. Mm-hmm. And that God reflects through that mirror back to us, and that basically any experience that we have relating to God, and either when we pray or petition or offer thanks, or when we feel guidance or any of those things, it's a mirror. It's coming from some sort of divine place inside of us that's already there, and that we haven't been willing to tap in and to recognize. And he has this very bold, like it was really difficult to read the first time, where he talks about how he understands that he is God. Wow. He makes that declaration. He's like, when you can get to the point where you can look yourself in the mirror and you can realize that you too, you are God, you will find all the creative power that you need. You'll find all the trust that you need. You'll find connection and resource that you need. It was this really impactful thing. Wow. And as a guy that grew up in the, as a Mormon and went on a mission and everything, like there's a big part of that sort of like evolution, that like the goal is to become like unto God and to live like that, with the reality as far as the religion professes that you will be one day. And I'm looking at this going, well, wow, that all those things kind of coming together. We're so much more powerful than we give ourselves credit for. We try to act like we're kids all the time, but we're already gods in embryo. Like we're creators. You look at, anybody that studies the writings of Jesus Christ, one of the main things that he did first was he was a creator. Mm-hmm. He created the earth. Like, so if we're going to be like unto Jesus Christ, we are responsible to create our world first. Wow. Okay, so let's create our world. What does my world look like? Most people don't even know what they want. I bet you in your community there's a lot of guys that are doing that, not knowing why they want to do it. They think that the money is going to give them some sort of freedom or whatever, and it's going to tap into some other stuff. And the reality is it probably will, and that's a good thing. And, business principles are real. You do them right, you win. That's very simple. But at the same time, like the personal growth, the journey of the person, to be able to go through that and realize, well, what do I want? That was one of the things that really kind of that I was attracted to with, our mutual friend, Sean Whalen. He hammers on that question. What do you want? Mm-hmm. What do you want? What do you want? Like, if you can't answer that with precision and dignity, ask again.
Yep.
there's so much like creative power that's lost for us, for you, anyone to have the life that they want by simply not knowing what that looks like.
Bingo. I had a guy do a ride along with me. So we do boot camps. We'll go through properties, property tours. We'll rent out like one of those nice fun buses, limos.
Nice.
And we'll go look at properties. Let's make it fun, right? So a guy's like, hey, I want to do a ride along with you. I was like, cool.
Sounds like you're a cop. I did a ride along with this guy. He was a rookie, you know?
I was like, cool. So the first thing was, okay, I need help moving a fridge. Cool. Welcome to the world. I should have just had Home Depot deliver that refrigerator. Yeah. This sucks, right? But it's the negative sides. But as we're driving from Centerville up to Huntsville, I flip in areas that I want to spend time at. I love Huntsville. You got lakes, but I have so many memories with my family. We've owned a ton of real estate up there. So we've always had a cabin that we'll use it for a year or two. You get sick of it anyway, sell it, get way better tax benefits. So I buy properties up in Huntsville. It's only 30 minutes from my house. I said, let's go look at one of these flips I'm working on. And the whole purpose, he's like, well, how do I make money in real estate? How do I do this? How do I do that? And I said, you got to forget the how. You got to understand the why.
Yeah.
I said, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the highest, how serious are you about real estate? He's like, I'm a 7. I'm like, I can't help you. I can't help you. You got the comfort. You got your wife's working, you're doing this. I can't help you. I said, look, if somebody kidnapped your daughter and said, you have to be a successful entrepreneur at real estate over the next 12 months and you can have your daughter back, how serious would you be about real estate? It's like, I'd be a 10. I said, why? He's like, well, because I want to save my daughters. And I said, until you figure that out of what you're doing, go find something else to do.
Yeah.
You have to have that passion, that drive, where literally your life depends on it. Not even your life, your family's life depends on it. You have to have that mindset in everything that you do, or don't do it at all. Go find something else that you're passionate about. Otherwise, you're just going to float by in mediocrity. My point being is the people that win, not only in business and real estate, they have that mindset that I'm going to make it happen. And those are the people that I'm going to work with. And so how do you get there? You've got to reverse engineer it like we talked about.
Yeah.
I say, well, why do you want to do it? Well, I want to spend more time with my kids and family. That's what everyone says. Why? And you have to dive into it. And so realistically, to be a good real estate investor, a podcast, whatever it is, you have to literally spend the first few weeks, months really diving into why people make actions and why they do certain things. And when you figure that out, once you figure that out, then it's easy to figure out the how. So in life, you got to figure out the why. Once you got the why dialed in, truly, the how is the easy part.
Well, I would add, then you got to know the what. Like, what are you doing it for? Like, when it comes to, it's really easy in entrepreneur world to just talk about money and toys and cars and houses and trips and all that stuff, which is great. I love all that stuff. I enjoy a lot of it myself. But there comes this point, I love having conversations like this where a lot of people that are on the grind, like they're working towards a thing that they haven't intellectually arrived or even emotionally arrived at that place. So like, well, what if you get it? Like, what if you become like a multi-millionaire that owns, 20,000 doors? What if that happens? Who are you then? Do you know who that guy is? Like, how would that guy be different than who you are now? Because go do that. Figure that out. And the scaling of that from a personal level, people don't look at goals from the vantage point, rarely they do anyway, look at goals from the vantage point of what happens when they get them.
Yeah.
Because this thing happens where you get bored. Like if once you get what you want and you're no longer in the romance of the grind, like I'm doing it, man. I'm sludging. I got the commitment. I'm in it. Like, yawn. Okay, you got it now. Now what? There's so much data in those experiences of when you meet the goal that will tell you how easier it is to get the goal and make it to where you'll shoot for bigger goals.
Yep.
It's
bingo.
Human behavior to me is phenomenal, especially my own, because I can spout all this shit, and I don't do a lot of it myself. But I do a lot of it myself. I'm a pretty evolved person when it comes to how I address my own, mindset and that. But there is a lot of silly things that we do. We like the romance of the grind. We like the idea of like, no, I'm in it, man. What happens?
I'm working hard.
Well, okay.
What are your results?
Dude, I like being like, dude, I ain't working for shit.
Yeah.
My business automates itself. I tell dick jokes in a dark room to strangers, my man. Life is good, you know? I had to envision that idea at one point and realize, wait. Because we've all had that point where we've reached a goal, even if it's a small one. And then we're like, well, it's Christmas morning now. I see the gift and I'm like, well, that's cool. Now what?
Well, I think it comes down to control more than anything. You're either
I'm curious about this.
You're either the puppet master or you're the puppet. You're either controlled by somebody else in their schedule saying you need to be here to make $30 an hour, or you're the person that has created that business, that leverage where other people are working for you. It's all about leverage, right? And so it comes down to control. Do you want to control your schedule or do you want somebody else to control your schedule? So as a realtor, look, I love working with certain clients. A lot of clients I'm not a huge fan of because they're like, hey, Scott, hey, Red Suit, I need to go see this property in 20 minutes. No. I'm controlling my schedule. Hey, Joe, I got this killer property. Let's go take a look at it. This will be fun. That's the difference there. Most people don't control their schedule. They're controlled by other people's schedule. Right?
I think they like it.
I think they do. Well, they're used to it.
Yeah, they're used to it.
And it's the system that's taught us to go to school, get an education, go work for somebody else.
It takes so much self-assurance and confidence to stand in a place where you're the boss. Because when you're having people do things because you want them done, like people that aren't in the midst of that don't realize like what happens when you get pushback from an employee and they don't like what you're doing. Like, do you listen? Do you give them what they want? You have to know. You have to be resolved about what you think is the best and what you want. And that resolution had to come from some sort of contemplation, some moment of contemplation, right? So, yeah, that's why all these pieces of the parts of this conversation are great because it's like you got to know what you want. You got to be willing to see that you got it at some point. Even if you don't, you got to like, what's it going to look like when I get this? And then you have to look at all the other like characteristics and behaviors of what it takes to maintain.
Think about with employees or when you're making a sell, right? You have to be willing to let them go. It's the people that are like, oh, you got to do this. Come on. They're so desperate, right? The law of abundance with employees where it's like, hey, I want to help support you. This is the vision. This is what we're doing. If that doesn't make sense, one of my mentors, like the best was, hey, if it doesn't work, I totally understand, right? So you're not coming across a certain way. And then all of a sudden it's like, no, I want to be part of that, right? And so coming back to that mindset, you have to be willing to let people go in order to win. And you'll bring that back into your fold of what's going to work best for you. I was talking to somebody about this yesterday. You have to do what works best for you. You can help as many people that you want, but by your rules and your schedule, not on their terms, not on their schedule. Otherwise, you're going to be pulled apart. You're literally going to be ripped apart and you're not going to do much, but you got to figure out what you want. You got to figure out your schedule. And as you help people, it's got to be on your terms, not on their terms. I think that's a part that a lot of people really, really struggle with. But to your point, a lot of people think about a dog. A dog does so much better when they're trained properly than when they're not. When you let a dog run free, it's not a happy dog. It's not a happy animal. When the dog is controlled, right? And it has its boundaries and things like that. I think a lot of people are just like, hey, I'm used to just somebody telling me what to do and that's how I can get by. But you have to have that mindset. That's part of the reason I wear the red suit. It's kind of to the world. Why are you wearing that? Why not? Because I want to. Because I can, right? It's just like, I'm going to do what makes me happy. If it doesn't make you happy, guess what? That's your problem.
Yeah.
I'm going to wear this. And you know what I mean? It's kind of like to the world, it's okay to be different. It's okay to be you. Yeah. Like if it's your favorite car who cares what the world? Society tells you, and you see this with Instagram, I got to be this certain way. No, you don't. Be what makes you happy. Seriously. Just do and I promise you, that mental hurdle that a lot of people really struggle with, and why people can't do that because they don't work on themselves. They don't read books. They don't hang around with people that are very successful.
Right.
Most of the successful people I've seen, they just don't talk bad about a lot of people that are below them.
Oh, they rarely. I mean, they might have a commentary, but it's not like a gossipy type thing. It's a who, what, when, where. Like, it's facts. This guy had this happen, whatever. Like, nothing like, oh, this.
They're talking about the people they want to be like.
Well, they have other stuff to handle.
Yeah.
They're busy.
Isn't that crazy how the world works? And I've noticed that too. Like, the negativity is like, you know, it's a reflection of your negativity. You're talking negative about somebody. When you leave, guess where they're going?
Right.
They're going to start talking negative about you and vice versa.
It's so true, dude.
It's just a mindset. It's a mindset. It really is. Like 99% of everything is a mindset, how you spin certain things. Like you hit it, like just from talking to you, I didn't even realize we are our own version of our own little gods of our own worlds here on this. We can control.
Yeah.
We can create. We can motivate, we can support, we can be that shoulder. You know what I'm saying? And it's
I'm even saying like we actively do, even when we don't recognize that we're creating. Our life is our own creation. We just have to claim it. We can't blame victimhood and all this other stuff. No, there are parts of everything that we have a hand in.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a heavy crown, but wear it, you know?
It's powerful, man.
And just, I loved your example about the dog because I think we do need to keep our bitches in check. You know what I mean? Like, we've got to have it be
that's a good way to put it.
Yeah, I mean, it's factually accurate. Those words factually work with that example. So,
well, and you have to put in our life, what are those vices in our life that we have to put in check?
Yeah.
Right? Where you have to be able to, this is where I'm going to struggle, compartmentalize. Did I do that? There we go. I just had to say it slow.
Good job, Lenny. You want to play with the rabbit?
Slow here. How do you take all those issues, all those problems, and how do we put baby in the corner? Yeah. Put those things that we're struggling with in the corner instead of putting them in front of the opportunity. Yeah. You have to learn how to segregate and divide. Okay, these are the issues, these are the obstacles, but guess what? I got experts that can help me out with all those things. Like my biggest fear doing real estate was getting sued forever. And then all of a sudden, all these liens and all these other things show up. And then I'm like, all I got to do is just hire a really good real estate attorney and they can handle that. And then I'm like, man, if you haven't been sued in real estate, it's probably because you haven't done anything. And then I'm like, okay, it's not that big of a deal. And then how many opportunities have I lost out on because I was afraid that if I did this, something was going to happen, as opposed to, hey, I want to get sued because that means I'm actually doing something. And then I just have an expert take care of it because I did 20 deals instead of maybe doing one deal because I was afraid of doing something. And I think in our lives too, you surround yourself with the right people that can handle all of those things, all those vices and whatnot, then you can really focus on what you're good at.
Amen, brother. In the name of, I'm just kidding. I love that thought. That's a complete thought, man. Yes. I don't know if you were aware of this, but when we wrap up our show, we have a segment called Current Events where we talk some shit.
Okay.
Our guy Con's going to give us some ideas, some news headlines and stuff, and we're going to banter back and forth about how much nonsense or funny it is, or poke holes in it, or whatever. It's a good time. So
love it.
What you got?
Be fun.
So the first one is the first congressman-elect from Generation Z said on Thursday that he was denied an apartment in Washington, D.C. over his really bad credit. So Maxwell Alejandro Frost is his name. He said that he ran up his credit running for Congress, and so he was denied an apartment in D.C. because of it.
First of all, so this dude's saying that his bad credit's because he ran for Congress. Shut up, dude.
Yeah.
Shut up. It's all those lattes and Starbucks and shit, dude. You probably have the brand new MacBook. So Gen Z, what state is that? I'm not familiar. How many Congress people are out of that state?
So he's from Florida.
Oh, even better, dude. Yeah. Florida. His name's Alejandro what?
Or Maxwell Alejandro Frost.
Maxwell Alejandro Frost. Okay. Yeah, I call BS on that. It's as bad credits from running. See, that's where he got me. If a young person that has bad credit, I get it. Kids aren't taught about money. They get, student loans and they get credit cards super easy when they turn 18 and everything. I get that. That's the system. There's ways around that. Like I'm even somewhat sympathetic to that, because if you don't come from means and you don't have anybody around you to teach you how to use money, you can be an idiot. And I get a Louis belt now on credit. It's awesome. And you live in an apartment with, a futon in it. But trying to add that it was his run for Congress that made this the thing.
Yeah.
Sorry, bro.
You're not buying it.
I'm not buying it, dude.
You're not buying it.
You know how much lobbying money is out there for these guys trying to get, is he a Democrat or Republican?
Democrat.
Of course he is. So much money trying to get Dem seats. This guy could have had, everything.
Yeah, I think he just, he needs to now use his power to create a system where he can be forgiven of his loans. He'll probably end up with 5 payday loan centers before it's all said and done. The guy that's got bad credit is going to figure out a way.
He's a congressperson, so he's not that smart to go do the entrepreneur thing. He's going to try to get somebody else's money to do it, not actually earn it. That's my take. Anyway.
You got to give him props for trying.
He's in Congress,
that running for Congress is. Do really people spend their own money running for Congress? I swear they just get a bunch of suckers that just give them money and
they fundraise. There's all these rules about who and where you can get money from and everything, and no first timer that's getting into Congress. So the House of Representatives, there's a bunch in there as opposed to the Senate where there's only 100. So it's way easier to become a congressperson first. You have less power because there's more of you, but at the same time, there's tons of benefits available. You get put on committees and things, you get access. But
I don't have
how old is this guy?
It doesn't say, but he looks really young. That's a picture of him.
Yeah. See, and I don't have much sympathy for him because the best thing that ever happened to me was when I got foreclosed on that house in California because I had to learn how to do creative financing.
Sure.
So he just needs to figure out how to do a little bit more creative financing. He needs to
go to Nancy Pelosi
and then he'll be good to go.
Means committee.
Watch in a few years, this guy's going to be worth $50 million.
Of course, he's in Congress now. That's how it works.
Well, here's the trick: you just copy what they're doing in Congress. If you want to become wealthy, just copy the strategies of what they're doing in the tax code.
Check this out. This is brilliant. I'll have to find this and share it with you. There's a website that a guy did where you can subscribe to it, where he follows daily all of the trades that Congress people make for stock. Dude, and his percentage of gain return is through the roof. This guy never misses.
Oh, yeah.
So it's of course, Nancy Pelosi is going to get some news about some chip thing in Taiwan that she goes to visit, and then she comes and does a $3 million, buys she shorts it because she goes, whatever way. She made tons of cash on it. It's I'm going to do what she did. Oh, sorry. It was Paul, her husband, that did it because she wasn't doing it.
Well, they're always worth 10, 20, 30 million. Their answer is always book sales. Book sales is how they made their wealth. Where they were making 150, 200,000. I'm like, how'd you make all this money here? I'm trying to figure out the math. Oh, book sales.
Yeah.
I think somebody's wife literally, who was it? Just barely. It might have been the president's wife that just wrote a book. And I think it only had a couple hundred book sales across the board.
Because they're horrible. Even Hillary Clinton's latest book was immediately on Amazon's discount shelves or Barnes and Noble. It's nobody reads this crap. You kidding me? I don't need to hear how hard it was to be Hillary Clinton,
You got to give him credit, right?
No, I don't want to give him credit.
Okay, don't give this guy credit. Well, we're talking about credit.
No, that's his problem is he had too much credit.
He had too much
credit.
He
used it wrong.
There we go.
All right, what else you got, Con?
Okay, next one. So woke Hollywood director James Cameron calls testosterone a toxin that must be expelled from the system. So Avatar director James Cameron has fully embraced the woke concept of toxic masculinity.
Is that really a woke concept though? Everybody knows he's full of shit. Testosterone has. If you take testosterone out of a man's body, it screws everything. It screws everything up, man. I know after I had my cancer diagnosis and I was my testosterone levels were 125. I had high cholesterol because my body couldn't process the fats in my arteries. I had all sorts of issues with muscle mass. I had, headaches. Dude, you need tea. Yeah. This freaking simp, he needs to get a shot of tea in his ass.
Yeah. So I had some buddies you got to do this. This will help you out. So I went in there to the doctor,
Yeah.
and he's like, "Hey, bro, you don't need any more testosterone.
Oh, you were good?
You're good. Like, you're way above levels. Like, slow it down. We need to give you some of the opposite there to, like, control you a little bit." So
did you take puberty blockers?
I don't know what I took. What's the other one called? Not testosterone, estrogen, whatever
or
it may be.
HCG or whatever.
But usually doctors are like, to get more business. I'm like, an honest doctor that's telling me to, like, tone it down on it. But that would have been fun, playing a little rugby with a little extra testosterone
well, yeah, dude.
going on it.
Well, that's the thing is that, like, I know because I'm still on replacement therapy for testosterone, and every time I do that shot, like, it's a difference in my experience. Like, I feel more like a dude, and I don't want to hit one woman. So, like, the whole toxic thing is nonsense. Just having testosterone in your body, being able to lift, dude. That's another thing. Is that sort of article has a bunch of others around it where they talk about that basically. It's so funny. They say that, if you're a gym rat that has less than 15% body fat, the likelihood of you being a Republican is through the roof.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, you want to know why? That's easy, because conservative people feel and they understand what's called a meritocracy. You earn what you keep.
Yeah.
Wow. Wrong pipe, dude.
Yeah. No, that's
We're gonna be filming my stroke. This is great.
well, this is good. Speaking of testosterone, man.
But I don't have any balls in my mouth.
Well, you want some bucked up, dude? That'll do the trick.
Good.
Yeah, I just feel that when it comes to accountability and testosterone, they have some level of this is fun.
This is fun. Sorry, dude.
For once I'm baffled, dude.
I'm dying
I usually
here.
have some wisecrack up, but I mean,
feel like he might be dying.
you all right, dude?
I'm good. Yeah, I got a little bit of scratch in the throat, and then a little bit of my saliva dropped down the back of it, and then I drank water and just like made it super itchy. Not dead though.
You're still looking good,
Totally
though, dude.
good, though.
Even when you got those little tears. I had something go down the wrong pipe.
Tears, dude, not toxic right here. I
Yeah.
cry.
This
I cry,
is good, dude.
When I'm mean to women, I feel sympathetic, so I cry because I'm just a toxic man, That's a joke. I don't know when you look at me sometimes like, does this guy think I'm serious?
I do it on purpose, man, dude. I got the poker face on, dude.
You got me, dude. It works. I'm like, I don't know if that joke's gonna land with this guy. Let's see how it's working.
Well, you had me on a couple that I was like, I'm sitting there guarded,
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden my guard went down. Like that was good. The dog one was good.
Bitches be tripping, dude. You
dude.
got to keep them in check.
That was good.
Okay. All right. So
Last
testosterone is good. James Cameron needs to STFU, as the kids type, and maybe get some tea himself. Says the guy married 5 times. Dude, that guy's been married and divorced 5 times. Yo, Jim, how about you don't tell me about how dudes are supposed to be, okay? Pick a wife.
He's probably his next. You ever see these marriage counselors that have been married like 6-7 times? And you're like,
I know how to help you because I've done everything
I'm like,
wrong.
wait a minute here. Wait, what's going on here?
Yeah.
It was kind of like when the doctor like diagnosed me with like ADHD.
Yeah.
I was like, oh great, I just saved a couple $100 from an appointment, right? Thanks, Captain Obvious.
Yeah.
But then I just started digging in with his life. I'm like, oh, I have this.
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, tell me a little bit about yourself. You know what I mean? Going back on him. And it's crazy how a lot of people that like to give out a lot of advice, they like to extract things out of people.
Yeah.
They really, really struggle giving.
Well, that's an
advice.
interesting concept where it's like, when is enough? When is too much? Too much. It's like I am fine to get advice from a guy who's been through a divorce.
Yeah.
If I'm going through a divorce and you've been there, I'll listen. If you drive race cars and you've hit the wall a couple times, I'll listen because you know how to avoid that. To a point.
To a point.
If you're like, after my 7th wife, like, bro, I don't think you follow your own advice, man.
I had a good buddy, man, right after my first divorce. Well, my only divorce. That sounded a little awkward. I sound like this guy over here. After
Well, you
my
did say your wife is your current wife, so who knows, man?
Yeah, exactly. So after my divorce, I had a buddy of mine that got married right after, and he calls me. I just got divorced, and he's trying to figure stuff out. He's like, hey, I'm going through some hard times. I'm like, dude, why are you calling me, dude? Like, I just got divorced, bro. Is this what you're trying to do? And maybe that's what. Then I kind of realized I think he was trying to get out of his current situation. So of course he's calling me.
He needed
because I just got out of it, and it wasn't like I'm trying to save this marriage here.
Right.
Instead, he would have called the guy that's
He wanted the ebook on how to get out of it. He's like, "Can you give me the 3 simple steps of how to get rid of this chick?"
Doesn't Keaton have a book on that?
I don't know.
Divorce, something like that.
How to get divorced?
No, and how to get through a divorce.
Dude, that would be a funny way to do it. Like, instead of like trying to be all sweet about how to help you salvage your marriage, like, dude, I'm gonna teach you how to get rid of this bitch. She's done, and you want gone. Like, I got you.
7 easy
Six
steps.
simple steps. Yeah. That's gonna be 20 grand.
Well, and how to keep your money, keep your kids, and keep your sanity.
Yeah, keep your nuts. Like, you got. I think is the new, like, that's the next level of life coaching for men's right now. You got all these like warrior guys and stuff that are doing their thing, and you got Sean and the Lions Den and Keaton. There's going to be some guy that's going to show up and be like the Deadpool of all this and be like, "Hey guys, fuck that bitch. She's a horrible wife. You got to be gone. Keep your money. Take your kid. You take the kids. How about like?" We might be onto something.
It's like we're doing this YouTube channel. Keaton's like, "You got to start a YouTube channel." I'm trying to figure this out, and I'm terrible at it. Like, oh, cool, you can watch this and stuff. And I was like. To my wife, I'm like, we should do I was at my girls' basketball game last night.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this would be way, way more entertaining. Like how crazy fans get with sports, where I'm yelling at this girls' like basketball coach of 6-year-olds, like, hey, if you put my daughter in, you know what I mean? Like creating like a YouTube channel out of that. That sounds way more entertaining. So I like your idea of like just going like hardcore.
Yeah.
Hardcore, like
opposite.
How to divorce your wife and keep your sanity at the same time.
And your money.
And your money.
Yeah.
And your pride.
Dude, that's coming. You know that with guys like Rich Cooper and Andrew Tate and all these like really kind of masculine dudes that are out there saying like, hey, chick, if you got a body count that's high, sorry, nobody with high values as a man is going to want you. Like there's a whole push towards like really like traditional women.
Well, the setups against men, when they go through a divorce, like it's an uphill battle to keep their kids.
Oh, dude, let's call it what it is. It's a you want to talk about systemic oppression? Yeah. Dudes are fucked by the system when it comes to divorce and kids.
So to have an entertainment value out of it, that would be huge.
Yeah, we could make like a Judge Brown show where like the woman always loses.
See, you got me on that one right there, dude. Oh, you're such a feminist.
No, dude. No, here's the thing: is I am truly a feminist in that I agree in equal treatment for both.
Yeah,
and the system is so lopsided against dudes. Like we need to run a W's against these women. You know what I mean?
The soccer thing is bad, and girls basketball.
Did you watch that Bill Burr special, Red Rocks, where he talked about that? You know who the comedian Bill Burr is, right? He's one of the best, dude. He talks about how like it was hilarious because there was some woman soccer player railing about how it's incredible that the women don't get as much money as the men, and that he's like there was a panel of 4 dudes on ESPN, and all of those guys had to act like they had no idea why this was happening, and then he was blaming women for the failure of the WNBA. He's like, you guys, he's like, look, nobody in the WNBA got COVID. That's how you know nobody goes to those games. He's like, they've been doing games to 500 people for 20 years. Like, you guys failed. It's not me. It's not my fault. It's your fault.
Well, there was a recent report that came out about the WNBA. It said the operating cost is $71 million, and they make about $60 million.
Yeah, it's
crazy.
Yeah.
Well, I will
Dude,
say,
and the NBA gave them that league. It wasn't even like some entrepreneurs were like, hey, we need to start a women's basketball league. The NBA is like, yeah, let's make this parallel league.
Well, here's the thing. You think of women UFC fighters. That's legit.
Yeah.
I'll watch that.
Meritocracy, they earn it.
That is awesome. Like some of those fights are way, way better than the men's fights. And I'm like, you've earned it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But
no, don't get me wrong. I know I've been kind of playing with this whole like masochism thing or misogynistic thing, but like I really do believe in the equal treatment of both. And I love seeing good people succeed regardless. I don't like these stories and stuff about how there's reasons why women can't succeed or men can't succeed. It's all a personal thing. And so,
well, I mean, think about like Instagram. Like if you were hot nice with big boobs,
so many more followers.
You'd have 1 million followers. Like, I mean,
bro, could you imagine? My content's good. If I had a pair of tits like that, dude, like you'd be game over, man. I'd have a blue check and everything. You'd see it.
Oh, so we gonna go down to the county courthouse and and fight for
You don't even need
Bryce's
to do that,
justice of like, hey,
I just need an appointment with a plastic surgeon and I can change my name on my own, man. Like it's identify as, Brittany now or whatever.
well, and I feel like my wife's smoking hot, and I'm like, she's like, I don't want to do any of the Instagram. I'm like, yeah, but I mean, how many more followers? Like, it's crazy when people are like, man, this guy was checking me out. I was like, that's awesome. That means you still got it. You go, girl.
Yeah.
And it's just crazy, like how it's so one sided. Like you can just take every single argument, every single statistic, you can benefit it towards your favor. I mean, look at Congress in itself. Yeah. It's just crazy how you literally can just twist one little thing and benefit towards yourself. So
Good old humans, man. We like our self interest, don't we?
We sure do.
You got any more?
Got one more.
One more. Okay.
not slamming the Democrats the whole time, dude. Is that what we're doing here?
I
haven't said anything about the Democrats.
No,
I love my Democrat
I
brothers
love
and
them
sisters
too.
and thems and theys on all the things that they are.
We need something to talk about, right?
Well, yeah, because of just the wonderful value provided.
They bring a lot of value.
All of them, many thems, not just the one them.
Well,
so this last one. So Elon Musk, he took over Twitter. He's been cleaning house.
Love it.
And so he ended up firing Twitter's deputy general counsel, James Baker, in light of concerns about his role in suppressing of Hunter Biden's laptop story.
Yeah, dude, this was a mess. They didn't even know he was still on staff. That guy is he used to be in the FBI over a lot of this stuff and was responsible for a lot of he was one of the main points of contact for social media when he would call up from the FBI saying, hey, this needs to go away.
wow.
And so as the attorney for Twitter, like I heard that the first release of the Twitter files, which went through all of the suppression of the Hunter Biden stuff and how it went through the process and everything, like there's a concern that they have that they didn't even see all of it because he was the one that was curating all of the information before it got to Taibbi, the journalist.
But it doesn't surprise any of us.
No, Twitter is changing. I'm on there a lot now.
Yeah.
And it's hilarious to watch these whiners about it. Like they released a new, like, so the journalist Barry Weiss, she's an incredible journalist. She was the one that on Twitter released the second batch of the Twitter files as they confirmed that shadow banning was a thing. Because Twitter openly to the public and even under perjury, the threat of perjury in front of Congress, they swore that they don't shadow ban. Jeez. And there's all this proof that like says that like complete only right voices were shadow banned and minimized reach, cannot amplify. There was like all these different levels when you read through the stuff of like they're basically saying like if you had a good idea, nobody's going to see about it. And I was having a conversation with my wife because she's like, well, I get that it's a big deal, but like, why is it that big of a deal? And I go, here's why. It's because when you have people that are legitimately trying to like be open-minded thinkers and they don't have access to all the ideas that are available, especially when they're better ideas, and they think that the worldview based off of what Twitter is this thing, and then you have executives from Twitter swearing in the threat of perjury in front of Congress, oh, we don't do these things. They start to question. But if they would have had an access to that idea that could have come from that tweet or that video or whatever, it can change public discourse.
Yeah.
And then the narrative gets changed. And then all of a sudden, we have a different landscape regarding ivermectin and COVID and right-leaning policies and exactly who Donald Trump is and all the other things that have been under control from the mainstream news narrative and media and Twitter, all the social media. It's fantastic that he's doing what he's doing.
Yeah, it's huge. I was sharing somebody on Instagram. I tagged him, and it popped up saying, hey, this person's got all these false, views and whatnot. And I just like badge of honor to my buddy. I'm like, good job, man.
Yeah,
that's awesome. Like you're standing up for what's right. But that's having somebody as a threat to the world, threat to the society, threat to draining the swamp in a nutshell. And so having somebody like Elon that's like a voice for the people, we need more people like you that are standing up for the people. Do you see Elon running ever? Do you see him?
I don't know.
I think he's way more impactful than doing what he's doing.
I think he's changing the world doing what he's doing now.
He really is, dude.
I mean, it's hilarious to me to watch people turn on him. They were totally loving his Tesla before he bought Twitter, and now like the noise is so hilarious. Like you have You have people leaving Twitter because they say that now it's all full of anti-Semitism and racism stuff. Like this was an example that was hilarious. So Adam Schiff, he's a congressperson and he's the shittiest human being.
Shifty Schiff, yeah.
He's a liar. During the Trump hearings, like he said he had all this evidence to prove it and he could never produce the evidence, right?
Yep.
He's just a liar. And putting my tinfoil hat on for a second, there's some conspiracy stuff about him being a pedo too. So take that for what it is.
Yeah.
He's on Twitter saying since Elon bought Twitter, all of these negative things are up, right? So Elon claps right at him. False. Here's the truth. They fact check his thing. And then he's like, well, how about you give us evidence? And I'm like, this guy wants evidence. And it's like, dude, he just got shut down. Anybody with half a brain's like, dude, you liar, get out of here. Where the old Twitter, nobody would have clapped back. He would have said what he said. And then he's like, oh, I guess the people that don't question easily, then I'm like, well, I guess it's true. And they would have thought something that's not true.
Well, here's the thought, and I say this to some of my liberal friends. I said, look, yeah, you don't like Trump. You don't like him. Cool, whatever. I promise you, if Trump would have ran with a D next to his name, you would be fighting for this guy with your life right now.
Yeah,
because he was kind of like, he
was a Democrat in the 80s.
He literally like has different views across the board. That's why I like the guy, but he literally stands up for these things. But if he had a D next to his name, you would be the exact opposite of this just because of a label on the side of it.
Hold on. I don't even think it would have got to that point. If that would have been the case, he would have never had the machine turn on him.
Oh, 1,000%.
He would have not been, everything about what happened. It's so crazy what's happened. It's really frustrating if you let it be when you look at like the realities of how politics have no morals anymore. There's no good people that are politicians. And we forget that there's 535 total of all those idiots. And there's 330 million Americans.
Yeah.
Hey, guys.
Yeah.
Why don't we,
And most of them haven't done anything in like the real life. They've been lifelong politicians. They don't have real life experience. So they can't relate with people.
Oh, and they don't know how to make – it's hilarious to watch like lifetime politicians be on committees that are overseeing like real businesses.
Yeah.
I'm like, what do you don't know anything.
Well, if Trump ran as a Democrat, he'd still be in the office right now. I mean –
Yeah. He never would have though because – he knows they're about as soulless as it comes. Dude, they're both bad. Like I get frustrated now when I look at the state of the Republican Party. Trump's got his issues now, man. Yeah. Like he's kind of coming unhinged, and he's not.
Yeah.
And there's some legitimate like integrity issues when it comes to voting. The Republicans didn't do anything in the last 2 years to try to fix it. They didn't bring up anything. There's people that like DeSantis and think he's done a good job. You got Trump barking at DeSantis. Like, what are you doing, dude?
No.
There's no real good candidates coming other than Trump and DeSantis. And DeSantis could be good, but he's going to get eaten up by the machine because Trump's the one running the machine.
Yeah.
So I'm like, great. We got to deal with these idiots more. Like,
well, didn't
bring on the communism and stuff.
Son-in-law just announced he's running? Trump's son-in-law? I just saw that.
Jared Kushner or Kushner?
Yeah, I just saw something on the news the other day that he's running now. So it's going to be.
He likes that Saudi money, I guess. He just wants to get some more of it.
Yeah. I don't know. Well, it's just crazy how it works. But here's the best thing about it. Like Sean always taught, just turn off the TV.
Yeah.
Create your own world. Create your own space. Create your own environment. Because realistically, all these decisions aren't really going to affect you that much. Yeah, they're going to affect generations. But you have the ability to go out there and control what you want to control.
Here's where I disagree with that. I agree. Turn off the TV. Control your environment. All that. But I've talked a little bit about this. I actually shared a clip on a former podcast that I did where I talked about this. Like, you can't change anything from outside of the group. So, like, if we want to change the way politics are, we need to get rich so that we can have influence over what the politicians are doing for us.
Yep.
And if we even further get into politics, like you want to change what's going on there, be one of those guys that's like a principled man in politics. You can't change it from outside. We're trying to change from outside, and all it is a bunch of yippee, yap. But if you can get money and have influence, then they pay attention and you have control. Like trying to act like money isn't the way to do it is just silly.
Yeah.
Get money. People bitch all that. You see Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren and AOC and all these guys talking about the rich. Eat the rich, all this stuff. They're all beholden to rich people. That's who their donors are.
Yep.
Okay, well, that means that if I want to get them to shut up, I got to get rich.
Yeah.
And then get involved in that whole discourse. And be like, hey, man, you turn down the little rhetoric there. And how about we're not going to do that and have real power instead of acting like it's some sort of evil thing that people lobby for Congress. You just got to get in the game.
Well, I think, too, the mindset of it, like the government's going to save me is what's really crushing people. And I think that's what I'm talking about is like we're in a country, and I've lived in different countries and been outside and traveled all over. We literally are in a country that somebody could have $0 and in 3 months be a multimillionaire. Yeah. There's so much opportunity here. The government's not going to save you. Nobody's going to save you except you, man.
There it is. Dude. Nobody's going to save you except you. Dude, this has been fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for inviting me, dude.
I appreciate you coming on. Ready?
Well, this is good.
The Red Suit Realtor.
It's a great way to start it off, right?
It is. I like it.
I just think it's like, it's good too. Like we kind of know we have the same people, but just to have an open conversation and not, sometimes when you know somebody too well, it's too, like you crush it, dude. This has been fun, dude.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I've cried.
I hope you're telling me the truth.
No, I've cried. I've laughed. I've felt like a lot of different emotions. It's powerful, man.
Thank you.
I appreciate what you're doing, dude. You're making a huge impact.
We'll get you back on soon.
Dude, that'd be awesome.
Dude, you guys, so where do you find this book? Is it just on Amazon?
Yeah, it's Amazon. Amazon, you can find it there. Suited for Real Estate Success.
Scott Orison, the Red Suit Realtor.
I had all my family buy it. I said, hey.
That's how you got the bestseller status?
That's how you get the bestseller, dude. It's all about,
You're like, I got boxes in my garage, man.
Oh, it's loaded up, man.
I love it.
It's loaded up, but...
Well, dude, but you've been very candid, and I appreciate that. I love what you're doing with your community and how you're looking to provide people resource and opportunity to make sure that they don't experience they don't have to fall. That's cool, dude.
Well, kind of like that money thing you talked about to like this disease, dystonia. There's really not a cure for it. If I go out there and raise $1 million, it's probably not going to do much. But if I can help create 100, 200, 300 millionaires, and they look back and they hear more about it, and then you're raising hundreds of millions of dollars, then you can actually take an impact on certain things when it comes to that. And so I feel like the why, it's hard to take that away. And I feel like at the end of the day, people that really know their why, they're the ones that are out there changing the world.
Yep.
And, it's our duty because of all this crap that we've seen in the world to go out there and stand up, stand out. And when you see something's wrong, you stand up for it. And it's crazy how many people will come out of the world. When you try to go safe, it's just like the rest of the world. But, some of my most controversial posts on Instagram get the best. People are like, oh, yeah, that you didn't know. I can relate to you. Instead of when you try to go too safe. But I appreciate you. Invite me, dude.
You bet, dude.
Having Conan, he's the best, dude.
He is the best. I mean, I won't tell that to his face because then he'll get all egotistical and want more money.
Ask him more money.
Yeah.
I'm the same way.
He's all right, I guess, but it'll do for now. Just kidding. All right, anyway, guys, Scott Orison, the Red Suit Realtor. Your handle's at Red Suit Realtor on Instagram.
Red Suit Realtor. Let's go.
And if appreciate it. Anyway, guys, so you guys know the drill. If you're watching this on Spotify, hopefully you watched it on the video. Make sure you follow. If you're watching it on YouTube, please subscribe, share it. That's how we make more impact and have more laughs and have more fun, is by this getting into the eyes and ears of more people. So please make sure you do that. And this is Stand Up.